My son stood in my doorway like a wall. He crossed his arms and said, "Stay home, Mom. You're too old to fly." He did not raise his voice. He did not have to. His words were heavy enough. They landed on the table between us like a hard plate. The kind that makes a sound when you set it down. Too old to fly. He said it slow, like a careful doctor giving bad news. He looked me in the eye. "My own son, Daniel. Mom, please listen," he said. "It's not safe. Your back hurts. Your knee locks. It's winter. Planes get delayed. You'll be stranded somewhere, and I'll have to drive hours to get you. And for what? A funeral you can watch on video." He meant my sister's service. My sister Alma. She slept away 2 nights ago at sunrise, like she wanted the light to call her. She lived in Cedar Ridge, 2 states away. She had asked me weeks earlier to come as soon as the leaves went red. I promised her I would. Now, the leaves were gone, and she was gone too. I promised her. I said, "You promised me you'd be careful," he said. He was not wrong about my body. My back and I have been old friends and old enemies for years. We argue every morning when I pull on my socks. My knee is like an older neighbor who moves slow. Sometimes it catches. I breathe and wait. It lets go. I move again. "It's not about bodies," I told him. "It's about goodbye." Tessa, my daughter-in-law, sat at the edge of the sofa, legs crossed, hands folded on her knee like a school teacher. She was quiet. She only looked around the room as if measuring it. She is good at measuring. She works at a bank. She knows numbers by feel. "We can do a memorial here later," she said in a soft voice. "We can light a candle. We can call your niece on FaceTime. You don't need to travel. Don't need. That is how people say. Don't. They put a soft blanket over it and ask you to sleep under it." I looked at the old framed photo on the wall. I was 17 in that picture, standing behind Alma. We were on the porch of our mother's house, holding out our hands to catch a summer storm. We were wet and laughing. We had no idea what the years would do. We had no idea what time would take. We thought it would only take rain. "I need to go," I said. Daniel sighed. He picked up his car keys from the table, then set them down again. His hands kept finding and leaving the keys, as if they were a small animal he could not decide to pet or let go. "Mom," he said, "do you know how many full risks are in an airport? Do you know how many scams? And what if you get confused? With the apps? Remember last month when you deleted the airline email by mistake? I did. I also remembered saving him from a fever when he was 7. Remember wet washcloths, the way he moaned in sleep, the way his forehead finally cooled under. My hand. I remembered the soft spot on a baby's head. I remembered holding his bicycle seat while he wobbled down the sidewalk, then let go and held my breath and watched him fly. "Daniel," I said. "I learned how to change a tire on the side of Highway 6 in the rain when you were 3 in the back seat, crying for crackers. I think I can find a gate number." Tessa smiled, the way people smile when they think you are being cute. "It's not about being able, Sophia. It's about being sensible. Why risk it? We love you. We want you safe." Her word safe was a white fence around a house. Pretty, tall, meant well, but a fence all the same. Daniel's voice went flat. "Stay home, Mom. You're too old to fly. We'll come by Saturday. We'll bring dinner." He stood. He is taller than me now. He was shorter than me once. I remember his hair sticking up after sleep like he wrestled with a pillow and lost. Now his hair is tidy. He is tidy. He lives by a calendar and a watch and a spreadsheet. He is practical, he calls it. He is careful, he says. He has a daughter and a mortgage and a car with seats that warm up in winter. He thinks care is control. He thinks control is love. I will think about it, I lied. They rose and gathered themselves. Tessa checked her purse. Daniel checked the door lock. He checks locks because he thinks the world is always almost breaking in. I have spent my life inviting the world in for tea. We had different dot at the door. Daniel turned back, looked at me again, and said it one more time. Please, stay home. After they left, I stood very still. I listened to the house. It hummed the way an old house does, with the heater kicking on, and the refrigerator talking to itself. I placed my hand flat on the kitchen table, not because I was faint, but because the wood was cool, and I needed something that did not move, to touch. Then I did what mothers do when someone tells them to stop breathing. I took a breath. I walked to the hall closet and slid a box from the top shelf. It was an old cookie tin with flowers on the lid. Inside was my red passport, a leather luggage tag with my initials pressed in gold, and a small pair of silver wings. That once sat on my husband's uniform. He was not a pilot. He was a mechanic, and they gave him the wings on a pin for 20 years of service. He used to leave them in his pocket. I washed them by accident. They survived the wash. They shine brighter now. I held the wings, then set them down and pulled out my phone. I pressed the airline app with my careful finger. It opened like a well-trained dog. I typed Cedar Ridge. No results. Of course. It was a small town. Too small for a big app. I typed the next nearest city. Willow Bend. One connection in Houston. Tight layover. I would have to walk fast. My knee was not happy. About that, I looked at my knee. We'll make a deal, I said. You complain, and I bring the cane. A little window on the screen offered push wheelchair. I stared. I thought of sitting while someone wheeled me like a box from the back of a store. I thought of Alma's laugh, the way her shoulders shook, the way she called me Fia. I tapped. No. Thank you. Purchase. The button glowed like a dare. I pressed it. Done. I put the passport and the wings in my purse. I went upstairs and pulled my old suitcase from under the bed. It was the same one I took when Daniel went to college and would not let me linger. He gave me a hug at the dorm and said, "Go, Mum." I went to a motel off Route 92 and cried into the slow towel. That suitcase has heard many goodbyes. I packed. Light. 2 shirts. Spare socks. A sweater that makes me brave dark blue, soft as night. Alma hated that sweater. She said it made me look like a storm. She loved me in yellow. I packed a yellow scarf to make her happy. I put my pillbox in the inside pocket and wrote the names of the medicines on a note, just in case a stranger needed to help me. I have learned this. Leave a map for kindness to find you. My neighbor, Luis, saw me dragging the suitcase down the front steps. He is a kind man with a broad smile and a little dog named Chico, who yaps at butterflies like they are burglars. You going? Somewhere, Miss Sophia? He asked. Cedar Ridge, I said. My sister. His face softened. Ah, need a ride to the airport? I wanted to say no. I wanted to do it all by myself to prove something to no one in particular. But I have also learned this. Pride can be an iron gate, and sometimes the only person standing on the wrong side of it is you. Yes, please, I said. He put my suitcase in his trunk and buckled me in like I was his aunt. Chico rode in my lap and licked my knuckles and looked at me with big round eyes. Dogs do not ask for your plans. They only ask for your presence. On the way, I looked out at the grey day and thought of Alma's hands. Strong hands, Hands that taught me how to braid hair. Hands that slapped my cheek once when I lied, then spent the night crying because she had done it. Hands that knew a recipe by heart and a person by their eyes. When we were children, we slept in the same bed, back to back. She was warm. She was always warm. You okay? Luis asked. Yes, I said. Just thinking. Thinking is heavy, he said. You want me to walk you in? No, I said. Thank you. I'll walk. He helped me unload. He tapped the suitcase. You call if you need a pickup. Anytime. Chico and I are night owls. He saluted. He does that sometimes. Even though he was never in the army. It makes small things feel official. Inside the airport. The air smelled like coffee and new carpet. People moved like schools of fish, all turning to the gate at once. I followed the signs. The lines were lines. They always are. I stood in one and listened to a baby snore. I watched a couple hold hands and laugh at nothing. I watched the young woman in a bright green coat cry into her phone. Life is always packed in airports. So much leaving. So much coming home. At security. I took off my shoes. Slow, knee complaining. Me promising we'd rest on the other side. And put my bag in a bin and my purse in a bin. And my coat in a bin and my dignity in another bin. The officer smiled at me. You're good to go, ma'am. Sometimes you just need someone to say that. You're good to go. I found my gate. I sat near a window and watched a plane pull into place like a big white bird that forgot it was a bird. A boy next to me ate a sandwich with careful bites. Crust first, center last, like a ritual. He kicked his heels under the chair. He leaned into his mother. I remembered Daniel's shoes tapping the seat years ago. We flew to see his grandparents, and he pressed his face to the window for 2 hours. When we landed, he said, "The clouds taste like nothing." He had his mouth open half the time, trying to taste the sky. My phone buzzed. A text. Daniel, how are you? I stared at the screen. I could lie. I could say fine, at home. I did not want to lie. I also did not want to fight across a cracked glass rectangle. So I typed, "At the airport, dear. I'm going to say goodbye to Alma." The phone buzzed again almost at once. The dots, like beads, bounced in a small line. Tessa. Sophia. Please reconsider. We'll come get you. I turned the phone face down. I do not like to watch dots. A woman sat down on the other side of me with a carry-on that had a sticker of a sun on it. She had hair like a broom, straight and useful. She smiled at me. Where you headed? Cedar Ridge, I said. Through Houston. Big airport, she said. Houston, I always get lost there. I have a good sense of smell, I said. I follow the coffee. She laughed. I'm Nora, she said. Sophia. I said, we may end up walking together, she said. I'm going to Baton Rouge, connection. That is what they call it. And sometimes I find it funny. Connection. People bumping each other with bags and muttering apologies through masks. But I guess sometimes you really do connect. Once I met a woman on a layover who taught me to knit. Now I make lopsided hats for everyone I know. I like lopsided, I said. It looks like a story. Nora pulled a little bag of almonds and offered me some. I took 3. 3 is my number for first bites. I think of first tries as a group, like friends. The first tries want company. The second tries are braver. The third tries start to relax. The loudspeaker coughed. Flight 228 to Houston now, boarding Group A followed by Group B. I was Group C. Group C is not a punishment. It is just a letter. I waited. I watched people stand in a hurry. People want so badly to be next. It makes sense. The world is a line. and we are always looking toward the front for proof we exist. When it was my turn, I handed the agent my boarding pass. She scanned it and looked up at me with kind eyes that said, "You made it." I smiled back. I walked down the tunnel, which hummed like a gentle machine, and stepped into the plane. "I can help you with that," a flight attendant offered, reaching for my bag. "Thank you," I said. "I can lift it if it's low. If it's high, I will accept the universe." She laughed. "Let the universe lift it," she said. She tucked my bag in a spot that seemed to be waiting for it. I slid into my window seat. I like windows. I like seeing the world let go and then find itself again below you, small and stubborn. Nora walked by and tapped the top of my seat with her knuckles. "See you in Houston," she said. A young man took the aisle seat. He had ink on his hands, like he worked with metal or maybe words. He closed his eyes as soon as he sat, like sleep was something he could pull over his head like a shirt. The safety talk played. The plane pushed back. It turned. It paused. The engines rose to a hum that still moves me like a choir. I put my hand on the window. The ground slid away. We lifted Dot and I thought, I am not an act of rebellion. I am an act of love. Dot, we leveled out over clouds that looked like bread dough. I remembered the kitchen in our house when Daniel was small. The flour in the air. His cheeks smudged white. His laughter loud. I remembered Alma cracking eggs one-handed and the shells never falling into the bowl. I remembered her saying, "Don't overwork the dough, Fia. It makes everything tough." I pulled out a small notebook. On the first page I wrote, "Dear Daniel." I paused, then I added, Dear son, I am on a plane. I know you're angry. I know you will say I'm stubborn. You're right. I'm stubborn. I learned it at your age when the world told me to close my mouth and fold my hands, and I did the opposite. I learned stubbornness from life. Life is stubborn. It keeps going. Even when you ask it to stop, it keeps going. A long time ago, you wanted to jump off the high rock at Blue River. And I said no. You waited, you argued, you promised me you would be careful. I said no. Then your cousin jumped, and you stood on the edge with your fists clenched, and you cried because you wanted to do it, and also because I would not let you. I remember your face. Then later, you slept in the car with your head against the window, and I looked at you and thought, love is so heavy. It is a good heavy, but heavy. I am sorry for the times I kept you on the ground when your heart wanted to fly. I am sorry for the times I left you alone with the TV and a bowl of cereal, because I had 2 jobs and only 1 pair of hands. I am sorry for the way grief made me sharp after your father died. I felt like a glass that would break if set down. I set nothing down. I held everything. I know I was hard to love, but this is also true. I taught you how to pack a lunch that would not get soggy. I taught you to say please and mean it. I taught you how to look up flight times and think in maps. I taught you that a promise is a place you stand. Even when the wind is loud, I promised Alma. And I promised myself something too, somewhere along the way, that I would not let my world get small just because the people I love fear big things. Love you. That is a sentence that is always true. Even when the next sentence is, I'm going anyway. Love, Mom closed the notebook. I leaned my head on the window. The engine sang. The old ache in my back settled into the seat like a cat who found sun. The young man at the aisle turned his face to me and smiled, eyes still half closed. You okay? He asked. Yes, I said, just thinking. He nodded. Thinking is heavy, he said, echoing Lise, without knowing. The universe repeats itself sometimes to make sure you hear. We landed in Houston with a bounce that made people gasp and then laugh. They always do that, as if we had been caught in a prank. I checked the time. 40 minutes to make my next gate. That was cutting it close. The app showed a different terminal. I stood, waited for my bag to appear, then did not wrestle for it. I let the universe lift it again. Outside the door of the plane, the jet bridge smelled like rubber and rain. I moved fast, but not too fast, like a woman who knows the time. Houston is a small city inside a big building. It is long. The signs were kind. I followed them. I passed a woman playing a violin under a sign that said welcome. Notes poured over 100 rolling suitcases and did not get tired. I followed the smell of coffee, the way I had promised Nora. But when you are late, coffee is a trap. It calls you with warmth. It keeps you with waiting. I kept on. My knee complained. I told it, almost there. It said nothing back, but I felt its stiff hurt. Bodies are honest even when mouths are not. At the moving walkway, a man in a vest reached out and touched my elbow. "You want a ride, ma'am?" He pointed to an electric cart. The cart beeped like a squeaky child. "I can walk," I said. He looked at my knee. He looked at my face. "You can," he said. "But do you need to?" I thought of fences and gates and pride. I thought of Alma's voice. "Don't overwork the dough. It makes everything tough." I nodded. "Thank you." He drove the cart like a careful boat through a crowded harbor, honking his small horn, making quick turns. It was strangely joyful. People parted. They looked like schools of fish again. I shook while we bumped. I pictured myself as a passenger in my own life, and surprisingly, it did not feel like defeat. It felt like trust. At the gate, the sign was blinking final boarding. The agent looked up. "Sophia?" "Yes," I said. "Come on in," she said, waving me like a friend. We were about to close the door. I stepped onto the plane. The flight attendant from before was not here. This one had a braid like a rope and eyes like a lake in shade. She helped tuck my bag in. She asked, "Headed home or away?" "Both," I said, and it was true in ways that made my throat tight. She nodded. "I like that answer," she said. The seat by me was empty until the very last moment, when a girl about 8 slid into it with her hair in 2 buns and a backpack shaped like a fox. Her mother sat in the aisle, leaned across and fastened the belt for the girl. "Stay seated, okay? And say excuse me if you have to get up." The girl nodded. She opened a book with a dragon on the front. "Hi," she said to me, not looking away from the page. "I'm Emmy. I'm flying to sea. My grandpa. He has a machine now that helps him breathe. It makes a hush-hush sound." "I'm Sophia," I said. "I'm going to see my sister. She is quiet now too." Emmy looked up, her eyes large and serious. "When I am quiet, I'm listening. Maybe your sister is listening." I swallowed. Maybe she is. The plane pushed back. Houston fell away. The sky opened. The light came through the window like a kind hand. Emmy read. I watched the clouds. I felt the weight of Daniel's words again, but also the lightness of the wheels leaving the ground. I remembered something I had forgotten for a long time. The first time I ever flew. I was 29 and Alma bought me the ticket. "You do everything for everyone," she said. "I want you to see where the ocean is blue the way it is in postcards." The plane had felt like this then too, both a cradle and a dare. We landed in Willow Bend and walked to the small terminal that smelled like earth and coffee and something fried. Nora appeared like a friend you didn't know you needed. She waved. "We made it." "We did," I said. "There would be a bus from Willow Bend to Cedar Ridge." I looked at the schedule on the wall. 45 minutes. I sat on a bench. Nora sat with me. We watched a boy in a red hoodie pace like a caged cat, then stop, then pace again. People move their fear in circles. If you watch long enough, you can see the shape of it. Nora said, "Do your son and daughter-in-law always talk? Do you like that?" "Like what?" I asked. "Like you're a very fragile cup with a crack. Like you will leak if you are not set on a shelf. Fia, if you are reading this, you came. Thank you. There is one more thing I have to place in your hands. The land by the river mother's little square has your name on it next to mine. Taxes might be due. I kept them paid as long as I could. It was our place. It should stay in our line, but not for money. For breathing. For a start when someone needs one. After you and I are both gone, I want it to pass to the child in our family who listens most. You'll know. If I'm wrong, forgive me. If you can, keep it out of the hands of men with signs and machines. They came sniffing last fall with clipboards and smiles. I told them no. They will come again. I love you. Don't overwork the dough." "My mother," June said softly. "Fighting. Clipboards with a recipe." I laughed. It turned wet at the edges. "We'll go look at the land before I leave." We went the next morning before the airport, the sky pale and clean. The river was low. The land Alma meant was a thin slice that ran down to the water, marked by a leaning fence. There was a sign near the Road Future Project Inquiry, with a phone number. The sign was clean and new. Someone had put fresh staples in the corners. June dug her heel into the dirt, like she could plant her foot and hold the whole world in place. They were here again, she said. "We'll go to the county office," I said. "We'll check the deed. We'll pay what's owed. We'll put a note on the file." We did. The clerk at the county building had a sweater with cats on it and the kindest face. She shuffled papers and clicked keys for a long time. "There it is," she said, tapping the screen with one pink nail. "Joint owners, Alma Rose and Sophia. May, taxes overdue 1/4. You can settle today." I paid at the window. The bill slid under the glass with a stamped paid when I was done. Simple, heavy, important. "Can we put a notice to contact us before any permit is issued?" June asked, polite but firm. "You can add a note," the clerk said. "It's not binding, but it's visible. Sometimes visible gets listened to." We added the note. The clerk wrote it out in black ink, in a careful hand as if she were writing. On a cake, "Contact family before any changes." She slid it into the file. It clicked into the drawer. "You're good to go," she said. There it was again. A sentence that felt like a hand on my shoulder. I hugged June at the bus stop. "I'll be back," I said. "We'll sort it all. We'll have a weekend just for letters and closets. We can eat pie from the diner and cut the tags off New Courage." June laughed. We were both crying anyway. "Go," she said. "I'll call if clipboards come back." On the flight home, I held Alma's letters like a warm loaf under my coat. I didn't read. I looked out the window and thought about the land, the fence, the sign. I thought about Daniel's face when I told him. I thought about how love can be like a gate. You can hold it open and wave people through. Or you can close it and lock it and call that care dot at my front door. My key did not fit. I stood on the step. Suitcase handle in one hand, purse strap digging into my shoulder, the winter air pinching the tip of my nose. I tried the key again. It refused. I took a breath. I rang the bell. The door opened. Daniel stood there. He had a new key padlock above the old knob. Tessa was behind him in my hallway, holding a stack of folded towels that were not mine. "You're early," he said. I said morning, I said. It's noon. He stepped back. We changed the lock. The old one was loose. I texted you the code. I dug my phone from my purse. There was a sea of messages. Codes and alerts and photos of grab bars and a cheerful link to an article about aging in place, 10 smart upgrades. I had been on a plane. I had not seen them. I typed the numbers, he said. The lock clicked. The sound went through me like a little electrical storm. I wheeled my suitcase in. I set it by the stairs, where I always do. Tessa smiled her bright bank smile. We stocked your fridge, she said. Bone broth, pre-cut fruit, yogurt, low sugar. I put labels on the containers. We had the rugs removed this morning. Trip, hazards, and we set up a fall alert bracelet. It's on your knitstand. You just press if you need us, and it calls both our phones. My house smelled like lemon spray and new plastic. The runner on the stairs was gone. The little blue rug by the sink, the one with the faded daisies, was gone. The footstool I used in the pantry was gone too. I put my hand on the back of a chair, to know it was still mine. Thank you for the groceries, I said. And the grab bars. I like the one by the tub. I do not want things that call you when I stand up too fast. Tessa tilted her head. It's for emergencies, she said. Only if you press it. Good, I said. Then I will not press it. Daniel closed the front door with a soft but final click. We need to talk, he said. We do, I said. But first, give me back my old key. The one that does not work anymore. It still belongs to this house. He looked surprised. He fished in his pocket. He set the key in my palm. Cold, familiar. I slipped it into my purse. It was a small ceremony no one else understood but me. We sat at my kitchen table. Tessa set the towels down and took out a folder. Paper whispered against paper when she opened it. Daniel unfolded a second folder. The light from the window fell across their papers like a sign. Mom, he said. This is a plan. Of course it is, I said. You love plans. He slid a sheet to me. It had bullet points. He thinks in bullet points. Move to a safer, one-level home. Sell current house at top of market. Simplify. Consolidate accounts. Durable power of attorney for health and finances. Home safety evaluation scheduled for Thursday. Appointments with 2 communities for tours. Names. Maple Court and Sunny Grove. I looked at the names. Maple and Sunny. Pretty words. Tours? I said. Just to see. Tessa said. Just to get a sense. I can't live somewhere called Sunny Grove, I said. Sun makes me sneeze. Groves make me think of bees. Daniel's mouth did a small, helpless quiver. He hates when I joke at the edge of a serious thing. Mom, you disappeared. You got on a plane. Your knee locks. I told you, I said. I told you where I was going. You told me after you bought the ticket, he said. We're your family. We should be part of your decisions. You are, I said. You were part of my life before you were anyone's. You were in my arms before I had time to be afraid. And still, there are some doors I have to open myself. If I bring you into every room, where do I stand? He rubbed his forehead. He looked tired. He looked older than I wanted him to look. It's not about doors, he said, echoing me without knowing. It's about risk. Life is risk, I said. Breathing is risk. We want to help, Tessa said. Her voice was softer. Her eyes were not cold, only busy. We worry. I know, I said. But worry is not a map. You cannot drive by it. Silence settled. The refrigerator hummed. In the distance, someone's lawnmower started. A winter growl. They did not ask where I had been beyond the funeral. They did not ask about the letters, the land, the sign with the number. So I told them, Alma and I own a strip by the river. The taxes are paid now. I want to put it in a family trust. Not for profit, for breathing. For a start if someone needs one. For June, maybe now. Later maybe for my granddaughter. For anyone who listens the most. Tessa blinked. It surprised her that I had something they did not know about. Daniel sat up straighter. We can help with that, he said. We can set up the trust. We can be the trustees. We can... No, I said softly. June and I will do it. I want it separate. It is small. It is not money. It is a promise. Tessa's fingers tapped twice on the folder. Tap. Tap. She stopped. Okay, she said. But her mouth went thin, as if she'd bitten a lemon seed. Daniel looked at the papers he had brought. Then at my face. Please tell me you won't fly back without telling us. I will tell you, I said. I may still go. Will you promise me you'll take help, he asked. Wheelchair in the airport, at least. I will promise to accept help when I need it, I said. I will not sit to make you comfortable. He winced. It was a small wound, but real. You think that's what this is? Me needing to be comfortable? I think you are a boy who lost his father and a man who believes if he holds everything tight enough, no one will be taken, I said. I think control feels like love to you because love once looked like a door that closed without your permission. He stared at the table. His jaw worked. When he looked up, his eyes were glassy but fierce. You think I'm trying to take your life, he said. I think you are trying to keep it, I said. But you are using a net and I am a bird. We sat with that. Tessa reached across the table and touched Daniel's sleeve. A small touch, a good touch. I did not want her to be the villain of a story that is really about fear. We scheduled a home safety evaluation, she said, tipping the folder so I could see. A woman named Kara comes Thursday. She will walk the house. She will make suggestions. We can decline what we don't want. We'll pay for the basics. Grab bars, brighter lights, rug tape where you want rugs to stay. That, I said, I can say yes to. Daniel looked surprised, then relieved. The air in the room eased. One notch. Also, he said, bracing himself like a diver at a cold lake. I brought papers for power of attorney, just in case. So we don't have to scramble one day. It's not about control. It's about ease. I know what it's about, I said. It is also about trust. Let me read them. Let me choose. Maybe we pick someone together. Maybe we pick two. I can ask my cousin Ben, he's a lawyer, to come explain. Tessa offered. I did not say yes. I did not say no. I held the papers like you hold a bird that might peck you or perch on your shoulder. And sing. They left with their folders lighter. They left with my old key back in my purse and the new code in my head like a song I did not want to hum. When the door closed, the house went back to smelling like my house. The lemon spray faded. The new plastic cooled. The quiet came back, and with it, the ache in my chest rose like a tide. I went upstairs to my bed and found the foulard bracelet on my knitstand. It was round and white, with a red button like a candy I didn't want. Next to it were Alma's. Letters stacked neatly where I had put them. I sat on the edge of the bed and held the stack on my lap. The top one had no name on it. It said only, "For the son who thinks he can hold back storms." My breath caught. I knew that handwriting. The loop on the S was Alma's, but the words under were a different hand. I slid the paper free. The inner envelope was old and thin. Across the front, "For Daniel, when he is old enough to be gentle with himself." I closed my eyes. I did not remember this letter. I did not know how Alma had it. Then I did. I saw the day after the funeral for my husband. Our bedroom was full of flowers that made the air thick. Daniel had been 14. He sat on the floor, back against the bed, arms around his knees, anger on his face like a mask he could not get off. Someone from Tom's shop had given me a small box manila, taped shut. He wrote a few things, the man said. He kept them in his locker. He wanted you to have them. For later. Later had been a fog. I had opened the box and taken out my letters, and then I must have put the rest away, thinking I would give them when the time was right, when I was steady, when Daniel was soft. The time had swum past. I had never found that right pause in the river of years. Alma must have found the letter in a drawer at my mother's, where I hid things when my own house felt fragile from grief. She had kept it safe. She had waited for me to be brave. I held the envelope. The paper was delicate as skin on warm milk. I broke the seal with my nail and slid out one page, then another. Tom's handwriting was blocky, patient, like bricks. Danny, if you are reading this, I am not where you can see me. That makes me angry. It also makes me want to break things. Those two are brothers in me. I don't want them to be brothers in you. I worked on planes for 20 years and never learned to like flying. That's a stupid sentence. It's the truest. One I know. I fixed what I could see. I didn't trust the wind. Your mother loved the wind. She trusted what she could not touch. That is why we worked. That is why we fought. I wanted to hold the world with my hands. She held the world with her heart. We both thought we were right. We both were. I want you to have both. If I go first, you will want to hold on to everything that looks like family and tie it tight. You will call it care. You will call it smart. It is those things. It is also fear. If you are not careful, it will make your hands into fists or open your hands, son. Let the people you love stand on their own porch. Let them fly when they need to. Stand at the bottom of the ladder and hold it. Do not climb in their place. When you were little, you flinched at thunder. You got that from me. I get it from my father. We like what we can plan. That thunder comes whether we schedule it or not. Your mother is thunder. Don't try to put her in a jar. You will break the jar and lose the light. I wish I could be there to teach you how to change the oil in your car the right way. I wish I could be there to look you in the eye when someone breaks your heart and say, I know. I wish I could. Be there to sit by your bed when your daughter has a fever. I can't be. I can tell you this. Fear will try to be the boss in those moments. Don't let it. Invite it to sit in the back seat. Don't let it drive. Be gentle with yourself. Be gentle with your mother. She will make choices you don't like. She will make choices I would not have had the guts to make. She will be alive in them. That is the point. I love you, Dad. I did not know I was crying until I tasted salt. The words blurred, then sharpened again, the way a lens can be turned with 2 fingers and bring a thing into focus you almost lost. I set the letter on my lap. I put my hand over it like it was a small bird that had landed, trusting me not to crush it. I thought of Daniel's face at the table, the way his jaw had tightened, the way his eyes had shone. I thought of his lists. I thought of his love, which is a list and a lock and 1,000 small good, worthy things. Soup on my doorstep, the light bulbs change, the trash can pulled back from the curb, before the raccoons could tip it over. I thought of how love sits beside fear and sometimes borrows its coat so you mistake one for the other. I took a breath. I stood. My knee made its quiet noise. We're okay, I told it. We're going downstairs. I made tea. I set the letter on the table and watched the steam rise like a ghost that did not scare me. Then I called Daniel. "Can you come by?" I asked. "Now." He came. Of course he came. He always does. He knocked. He never uses the code first if he can help it. He still wants my yes. I opened the door. He looked at my face and then passed. To the table, to the letter, to the way the afternoon light made a long stripe across the wood. He sat without being asked. "What's wrong?" he asked. "Something is right," I said. "I have something for you." I slid the letter across to him. He looked down. He recognized the handwriting. His mouth opened like he had forgotten how to swallow. He touched the paper with 2 fingers and then pulled his hand back, as if it might be hot. "What is it?" His voice was small. "It's from your father," I said. "I should have given it to you years ago. I wasn't ready. Alma kept it safe. She knew I would find the courage when I needed to." He lifted the page. He read. His eyes moved fast, then slow, then stopped and went back and found the line again, and again. "Open your hands." Son, and the muscles in his face worked like he was chewing something tough. He swallowed. He set the paper down. He put his hand over it. He did not cry, not at first. He took one long breath, then another. He is his father's son and mine. He thinks it is a kind of skill to keep everything held. "Mom," he said. One word, but it had a lot of rooms in it. "I know," I said. "I know." He looked at me, and for a second I saw the boy on the porch, watching a storm move toward us over the field, counting between lightning and thunder, his lips moving, his hands open, wanting to be brave and wanting to be held. "I changed your lock," he said, his voice uneven now. "I took your rugs. I scheduled tours." "I know," I said. "And I took a plane. I paid taxes. I found a letter. We're both doing what we do when we are scared and love something." He nodded. He wiped his eyes with the heel of his hand. He laughed once, a short, surprised sound. "Dad was afraid of flying?" he asked. For a moment, the boy in him smiled at the man he had been told to be. "He worked on planes. He was brave in his own way," I said. "We all are." He leaned back and looked at the ceiling. You could see him making space in his head for new information, like moving boxes around to fit one more thing in. "I don't want to put you in a jar," he said, eyes on the light fixture. "I want you long." "Like a river," I said. He looked back at me. "Like a river." We sat with Tom's letter between us like a third person at the table. Then Daniel reached into his bag and took out his own papers. But he did not open them. He pushed them aside. He laid both hands flat on the table, palms down, fingers spread. "Okay," he said. "Help me draw the line. Help me know where to stand without standing in your way." I pulled a small pad from the basket and a pen. I printed in big letters, not for my eyes but for his. What I promise, what I won't, what I need, what you can do, what you promise, he read, his voice steadying. "I promise to tell you my travel plans," I said. "I promise to answer when you call, unless I am on a plane or at a funeral, in which case I promise to call back." He nodded. "What you won't?" "I won't let fear drive," I said. "Yours or mine. I won't wear a bracelet that calls you every time I sneeze. I won't live where the hallways all smell like boiled carrots, unless I choose it." He almost smiled. He wrote boiled carrots, then crossed it out. "What you need? Grab bars and brighter light bulbs," I said. "Rugs that don't slide. A neighbor's number on the fridge looses and a key under the 3rd flower pot, not the 1st. I need you to knock and wait for me to come. I need the lock code not to be a secret. Secrets feel like nets." He wrote, and his writing did not shake. "What I can do? You can come over without a folder," I said. "You can bring soup without a plan. You can hold the ladder. You can stand at the bottom and look up and say, "You good?" And I can say, "I am." He nodded. He wiped his face again in a way that was trying not to look like wiping his face. "I can do that," he said. "And can we keep the home safety lady appointment on Thursday? Just to walk and learn?" "Yes," I said. "We will listen. We will pick what we like. We will let the rest go." He looked at the letter again. "I will make a copy," he said, his voice careful, as if moving glass. "I will keep there, original in a safe place. Not a lockbox one forget the key to. Somewhere I can see it. Put it where your fear will see it too," I said. We sat a little longer. The afternoon thinned into almost evening. He stood, finally, and leaned down and put his forehead against mine, like he used to when he was little, and thought that made me see with his eyes. Maybe it did. "I'm sorry," he whispered, "for the lock, for the way my care makes you small. I'm sorry too," I said, "for giving you this letter late, for thinking I could protect you from its weight. You can carry it." He nodded. He tucked the letter carefully into his bag. He kissed my head. He stepped to the door, and before he left, he turned. "Are you going back to Cedar Ridge?" he asked. "Yes," I said. "I told June I would." "When?" he asked, his voice testing the edge of the line we had drawn. "After Thursday," I said. "After we listen to Kara and I move the rug tape, and you fix the light by the back steps that buzzes. After I type out my medicines in a big font and tape it on the inside of the pantry door. After I buy a cane I like, with a handle that doesn't hurt my hand. After I send you my flight number." He smiled, small and tired and real. "Okay." After he left, I sat in the quiet again. The house felt bigger from having been a place where words were said out loud, instead of only in my head. I picked up Tom's letter and read it one more time. Then I tucked it into a clear sleeve and put it in the drawer where the napkins go. I like it where I will bump into it when I am reaching for something ordinary. The next day, Tessa came by with Lila. Yes, Lila, that is my granddaughter's name. How could I have not said it until now? She has the kind of hair that flies out in the wind like a flag, and eyes that turn dark when she is thinking hard. "Grandma," she said, launching herself into me. She smelled like playground air and crayons. "Daddy said you went on an airplane. Did you get snacks?" "I did," I said. "Almonds." She wrinkled her nose. "That's not a snack. That's a nut." Tessa set a bag on the counter. Her voice was careful, lighter than yesterday's. "I am sorry about the lock," she said. "I thought I was making things easier. I wasn't thinking about how it might feel. Thank you for saying that," I said. "We're going to keep the code simple enough to remember. Not a date that hurts." Tessa nodded. She looked around my kitchen with different eyes, softer, less measuring. She took a breath. "I saw the letter," she said slowly. "Daniel showed me. He cried. I haven't seen him cry in a long time." "Thunder," I said. "What?" "Your husband," I said. "He is like thunder. He is loud when he is near, and loud when he is far. He scares himself. He also brings rain." Tessa's mouth did a little shape around that thought. "I keep trying to make him stop being thunder," she said. "I forgot that thunder is part of the sky. Maybe I just need better curtains." We both laughed. It was small and true. Lila wandered to my purse and found the little silver wings. "What's this?" she asked. "They are from your grandpa's shirt," I said. "He wore them when he worked on planes. He fixed things that flew." "Can I wear them?" she asked. "Not now," Tessa said quickly. "They're sharp." "They are," I said. "We will put them on the corkboard, right there where the light hits them." I pinned the wings where Sun found them at noon. Lila stood on a chair and watched the way they shone. "They look like a promise," she said. "Maybe they are," I said. Thursday came. Kara, the home safety woman, wore sturdy shoes and a tool belt with a measuring tape that made a friendly whir when it slid back into place. She walked through the house with me. "What's a daily trip?" she asked. "Kitchen to bedroom, bedroom to bath, living room to kitchen?" She spoke my age like a map, not a verdict. I liked her. She suggested a second rail on the back steps. She suggested better bulbs in the hall. She suggested we keep the couch where it is, because my knee likes the height. She suggested rug tape for the blue daisy mat by the sink. "It makes you happy. Let's make it safe." She suggested we add 2 lights outside for when I come home at dusk. "Wheelchair?" she asked lightly, writing it down and then looking up to see my face. "Only if I want to pretend I'm a queen and wave," I said. She grinned. "You'd be a good queen." Daniel followed us with a notebook and a drill set he had brought. In a bag, because of course he did. He installed a second rail before Kara even finished suggesting it. He fixed the buzzing light. It felt like a show where people remake a room. But we were remaking a life. Small changes. Big difference. When she was done, Kara stood in my kitchen and tapped the counter with her knuckles. "You're good to go," she said. It is a sentence the world seems to love me with lately. That night, I pulled out my suitcase. I set it by the door. The sound of the wheels on the wood made a notch in the quiet. I packed light again. Socks. The brave blue sweater. The yellow scarf. Alma's letters in a folder labeled June. A copy of Tom's letter for me, because I wanted his words with me even when the original stayed home. Wrote out my flight numbers for Daniel and Tessa, big enough that a nearsighted raccoon could read them. I wrote my medicines in letters the size of peas. I put Luce's number on the fridge next to Lila's drawing of a house with a roof that looks like a hat. Texted June. "I'm coming Saturday. We'll go to the river on Sunday. I'll bring tape and sandwiches." She replied with a picture of the pantry. Shelves half empty and a pie cooling on the counter. "I'll bring the plates," she wrote. And the truth. Before bed, I took out the note Alma had slipped in with the key. On the back, in small writing I had not seen at first, she had tucked in one more line. "If they tell you you're too old to fly, bring your wings." I smiled. I opened the knitstand drawer. I took out the little pin. I held it in my palm. I pinned it again into my hair. Careful, patient. It held. The next morning, Daniel drove me to the airport. He did not hover. He held the ladder. At the drop-off, he helped me with my bag. He looked at the entrance doors, like they were a mouth he might get swallowed by, and then stepped back. "You'll text me when you land," he said. "I will," I said. "I'll send a picture of a vending machine." He smiled. He touched my elbow. He looked at the doors again. "When I was little," he said, "you made me wear a jacket when it was windy because you said it kept the wind from talking too loud." "I did," I said. "Do you have a jacket?" He asked, turning into the boy again for one heartbeat. "I do," I said. I pulled the zipper up to my chin. "And a scarf, and my phone, and my wings. Open hands," he said, touching his chest. "Open hands," I said. I walked through the doors. I stood in the line. I took off my shoes. I put my bag in a bin. The officer smiled and waved me forward. I was good to go. At the window by the gate, I watched a woman try to take a selfie. With the plane behind her, she couldn't get both in the frame. I offered to take her picture. She handed me her phone like it was a baby. I took the picture. It came out with the plane looking like a big bird, and the woman's eyes looking like she had just learned she. Was brave. I sent Daniel a thumbs up emoji because I could. He sent back a plane and a heart. It looked like a child's drawing. It looked like hope. On the flight to Willow Bend, Nora appeared again like a good joke that keeps finding you. You, she said, pointing, laughing. Connection. Connection, I said. Did you learn a new stitch? I did, she said, holding up a hat with a pattern that wanted very much to be straight and was not. It looks like a story. It is, I said. We talked about nothing heavy. We talked about coffee and grandmothers who always kept money in their brass. We talked about small foods that are better than big foods. We talked about the way airports make you feel like you might live in the story of someone else if you stand next to them long enough. Between Houston and Willow Bend. I read one more letter. It was from Alma to me. It said, "You think you are late. You are not. The train you are on is the train you are supposed to be on. You will get there. Bring sandwiches. Don't overwork the dough." I landed. June was at the bus stop in her red coat again. We hugged. We carried the sandwiches. We drove out to the river. The sign was still there. The fence leaned. The water did what water does when people are busy making plans around it. It moved like a thought. It didn't stop. We ate on the back of my suitcase like it was a picnic table. Me, June, and the strip of land that belonged to us like a small, steady heartbeat. June looked at me. "I love that you're here," she said. "I love that I came," I said. Somewhere far away, my phone buzzed with a message from Tessa. It said, "She's fine. Tell me when you're with her." And a picture of Lila eating pancakes in a sweater, with stars. And then, I was wrong about so many things. "Thank you for not shutting me out." I wrote back, "You're good to go too." We sat a long time. We made a list on the back of a napkin of what to do next. Put the trust in place with both our names. Talk to the neighbor who knows the river's moods. Ask the clerk to add the phone number again in big letters. Find someone who can fix fences. With kindness. Keep the sign up as long as it takes until the men with clipboards forget how to find this road. When the light went low, we walked back to the car. June started the engine. The heater coughed and then sent warm air over our cold hands. We drove back to the house with the pantry that had taught us to trust places where truth can sit and wait. That night, I slept in Alma's bed again. I put the wings on the knit stand. By the lamp, I put my phone face down. I went to sleep with my hands open on the blanket like I was holding water and not trying to keep it. In the morning, a knock on the door woke us. June went to answer. I followed, tying my robe. On the steps stood a man in a neat jacket with a clipboard and a smile. He had a car with a logo on the side that said Shoreline Development. He tipped his chin. "Ladies," he said, "I hear you might be ready to talk about the river." June looked at me. I looked at June. We did not move. We were two trees at once. We were what our mothers had been for us before we knew the word. "Not today," I said. "You can put our number in your notes." But we already put ours in the county file. You call before you walk one step onto our dirt. And even then, the answer will be no. He smiled a little tighter. "I can leave information." "You can leave," June said. And then added, "because we are not mean people. Thank you for coming by." He went. We watched his car roll away. We watched it turn at the end of the street. Only then did we let out the breath we'd both been holding. June bumped my shoulder with hers. "You're kind of scary when you want to be," she said. "I am finally the right kind of scary," I said. We laughed. The day was ahead of us. The letters were waiting. The river went on doing what it had always done. Moving and singing. Never asking permission to be itself. My family. thought the storm had passed. We had said the hard words. We had hung up the grab bars. We had taped the rugs that make me happy. We had written a list called What I Promise, and another called What I Won't, and we had stuck them on the fridge in letters, big enough for the future to read. Then the sky did what the sky always does when you put your umbrella away. It surprised us. The knock at June's door came early. It was not the man in the neat jacket again. It was her neighbor, a man with a cap pulled low and kindness in his pocket. They posted a notice, he said, breathless, pointing with his chin. County meeting got moved up. Today at noon. They're going to talk about the river parcel. The developer made it an urgent item. Public comment welcomed. Thought you'd want to know. June looked at me. We're going, she said. We are, I said. I texted Daniel. I did not ask. I told him the time, the place, and the line we were drawing. He called at once. I'll be there, he said. We're leaving now. We. He meant he and Tessa. He meant Lila too, most likely, because leaving her behind is like leaving air behind. Slow, I said. No speeding. Open hands, he said, as if the words were a rope he could hold while crossing a stream. Open hands. We dressed in simple clothes. June put her hair in a braid the way Alma did when she meant business. I wore the brave blue sweater because my heart needed armor and the yellow scarf because my sister loved me in it. On the way to the courthouse, we passed the diner with the blinking sign. Eat, eat. I could not. I drank coffee that tasted like nerves and hope. County meeting was in a room the size of a school gym, but with nicer chairs. A row of people sat at a long table facing us, each with a little tent card that said their names. The clerk with the cat sweater was there, not in her sweater, but with the same kind eyes. She nodded at us like a friend you meet in a new place. And both of you are relieved. The man from Shoreline Development sat on one side with a woman in a grey suit and a laptop. They had papers that showed pictures of houses that all looked like each other, and a neat path beside a blue line that did not look like our river, not the way it moves and sulks and sings. Their river was a plastic ribbon. Ours is a living thing. People filled the chairs behind us. Old men with hats, young men with strollers, women with hair like mine, women with hair like storms, teenagers with phones, a family with shirts that matched and said Keep Cedar Ridge green. June squeezed my hand. This room, she whispered, smells like floor polish and questions. The meeting started. The board moved through boring things first, like minutes and motions and budgets. Then the woman in the grey suit stood before a screen and spoke about economic development and waterfront activation and increased tax base. She said the words pedestrian-friendly 3 times. Each time I pictured people walking on a path looking at a river that had been told not to be what it is. She clicked the slides, and the houses moved across the screen like little soldiers. Then the chairwoman said, Public comment? June stood. She moved like water moves around a rock. She did not rush. She did not explode. She flowed. My mother, Alma Rose, and my aunt Sophia own the strip along the river you're talking about, she said, her voice steady. It is not for sale. It is for listening. The man with the neat jacket shifted in his chair. The woman in grey smiled like she was thinking of a different smile and put this one on instead. We're not taking anything without consent, the woman said. We're only gathering input. Then here is input, I said, standing next to June even, though I had not planned to. Don't, people murmured. Not loud, just enough to make the room feel alive. I looked at their faces. Some looked tired. Some looked hungry. Some looked at us like they wanted to clap already. and some looked like they wanted to get to lunch. That is how rooms are. They are full of people who want different things at the same time. The chairwoman nodded toward me. Your name? Sophia, I said. I grew up on that river. I am old and I fly. A few people laughed. It loosened my throat. We buried my sister yesterday, I said. She left letters. She left the land. She left a line I will not cross. You call this progress. I call it erasing the place where we go when the world is loud. There is not much left that is free to breathe in. Please do not fill in even this thin strip. Let the children see a river that is still a river. Let the old sit and listen to the hush-hush and know they are not a line item on someone's plan. I did not cry. I thought I might. Instead, my voice shook in a way that made the microphone's little light flicker. It looked like a heartbeat. The chairwoman thanked me. Other people stood. A teacher who brings students to draw the river at different times of day. A man who fishes and throws back more than he catches because he is there for the quiet. A teenager who spoke too fast and said he loved the trees. For no reason except I loved them, which was the best reason of all. Daniel walked in then, breathless, Kessa behind him, Lila holding both their hands like a chain. He had the look he gets when a storm is already here, and he knows he cannot stop it, only decide where to stand. He lifted his chin at me, open hands. The man from Shoreline stood, his smile tight. We're not monsters, he said. We will improve the banks. We will add benches and a safe path. People will enjoy the river more. The river is not a product, an old man said quietly from the back. If he had yelled, it would not have worked. Saying it the way he did made people lean in. The clerk with the kind eyes whispered in the chairwoman's ear. The chairwoman nodded. Her voice was calm. Here is what we will do, she said. We will table this pending further study. We will ask the Conservation Commission to walk the parcel with the owners. We will ask Shoreline to pause their proposal until we know whether the land is appropriate for an easement. The woman in grey opened her mouth, then closed it. The man in the neat jacket scribbled notes like he was trying to erase the line we had drawn by writing over it. The gavel came down. People stood. Some clapped, not like a movie ending, but like a small bird that got found. Not a victory. A breath. Turned and found that Tessa had tears in her eyes. She leaned in and said, I brought something. She handed me a small, folded paper with her careful writing. For the family trust. Land purpose. Breathing and start-overs. Not profit. Successor trustees. June 1st, Daniel 2nd, me if needed, and later the child who listens most. Easement options. Conservation. Heritage. Do research. Call before changes note on every file. I made it on the way, she said. I know. A list. But the right kind this time. The right kind, I said. And my voice did a thing it does when I see someone shift from fear to help. It softened and warmed without asking me first. Lila tugged my sleeve. Grandma, she said. Can we go tell the river? We can. I wanted to say, we should always go tell the river. We did. We drove in our little caravan. The road there was, full of bends, like the road had learned to move around the land, instead of telling the land to move for it. The sign with the number looked smaller today. The fence leaned less, or maybe we just stood taller. We told the river what had happened. We said it out loud like a prayer. They paused. We will protect you. We will ask the right people. We will make a promise in paper and ink that matches the promise in our bones. Leela listened without interrupting. When a child listens without interrupting, the world sits up. I want to hear the hush-hush, she said. She went closer. Daniel started to reach for her, then stopped. You could see his hand fight his fear, and then lower with effort. Open hands. He put his palm on my shoulder instead. I felt the weight of it. I liked it. When we turned back toward the car, a different car rolled in slow. A woman got out. She looked like the life she had lived was heavy, and she carried it anyway. Her hair was the same grey as mine. Her eyes were tired. She wore a good coat with a button missing at the bottom. The missing button did more to make me like her than 100 buttons would have done. "Tessa," she called. "Baby." Tessa turned. Her mouth fell open. "Mom," she said, "what are you doing here?" "I came to see," the woman said. "You were on the phone talking fast. You said Sophia and River and developer, and I heard the way your voice went small. I came to help, or to say sorry, or to sit. I didn't know which one yet. This was the visit we did not know we needed. This was the visit that changed the shape of our day." They hugged, a little stiff at first, then not. Tessa's mother, her name is Marianne, looked at me over Tessa's shoulder. "I've been wanting to meet you as something other than the woman my daughter worries about," she said. "I wanted to meet the woman who gets on planes." I smiled. "I wanted to meet the mother who raised the woman who saved my son with lists." Marianne laughed, a quick wet sound. "I'm not a good flyer," she said. "My mother fell when she was 68. That is why I say too much sometimes. I didn't get there in time. I have been trying to be everywhere at once ever since. It makes me hard to stand next to." There it was. The mirror we needed. Her story is Tessa's story. Tessa's story had been living in our house without us seeing all its rooms. "I'm sorry," Marianne said to me soft. "Not for anything I did to you, but for the way my fear leaned on your house through my daughter." "I understand," I said. "Fear has long arms. We are trying to teach it to sit and not grab." Daniel made his face into a shape that means relief and also new light. Lila walked up to Marianne and took her hand. "Want to hear the hush-hush?" she asked. "I do," Marianne said, as if someone had handed her back a piece of her life she thought was lost. We stood on the bank and listened. The river spoke in its language. It does not use words, but it says everything if you give it time. The men with clipboards had not won. The board had not said yes to us forever. But today had been enough. A pause, a plan, a promise. Sometimes the world gives you a full cake. Sometimes it gives you a slice. Today we got a slice and it was warm. We went back to Alma's house. We made sandwiches again. We spread papers out on the dining table, the same table where under the cloth Alma and I had once carved our initials when we were 10, and she had told me I was slicing crooked. We put everything in piles. Letters, plans, names of people to call, a printout about conservation easements that the cat sweater clerk had handed us with a wink. We made tea. We made a rule. We pushed a chair to the end of the table and put one of Alma's scarves over it. "This chair," I said, "is for truth." When we feel fear pushing out of our mouths, we stop and point to the chair and ask, "Is that you talking? Sit down. Let truth speak." We laughed. Then we tried it. It worked better than it sounds. Every time one of us got loud, we pointed at the scarf and let a quieter sentence come next. We called Ben, the cousin who is a lawyer. He did not answer. He texted heartbeat emoji. We called a woman named Dolores at the land trust office. She answered on the second ring and spoke to us like she was offering an extra pillow at a hotel. "You want to keep a small strip wild for your family and the town to breathe by," she said. "We can talk about that." We set a date for the conservation walk. We set a date to sign the family trust papers in a way that means something. June and me as trustees now, Daniel as backup, Tessa as backup to him. And later, one day, the child who listens most. We did not write a name because listening is not about age. It is about ears. It is about heart. In the late afternoon, Daniel said, I need to get home to take Lila to her piano lesson. He looked like he did not want to go. He looked like he wanted to be in two places. He looked like he had been in two places his whole life, between caution and love, and he was finally learning the road where they travel together. Go, I said. We'll send you pictures of the fence with someone standing on each post. Like birds. He smiled. He hugged me. He hugged June. He hugged Tessa and kissed her forehead. He kissed Lila's cheek. He hugged Marianne, which surprised them both. Then he turned to me in the doorway like he always does. You'll be careful? He asked. I will be alive, I said. And careful enough. Open hands, he said. Open hands, I said after they left. I stood in Alma's kitchen while the late light made a gold stripe across the floor. The sentence came back in my mind the way a song does. After they left, in my life, that sentence has been an engine. After they left, I bought the ticket and flew. After they left, I opened the pantry wall and found letters. After they left, I read the truth I needed. After they left, I called my son. After they left, I listened to the hush-hush and said no. After they left, I let fear sit in a chair and told love to speak. After they left now, I did 3 small things and 1 big thing. Small thing 1. I wrote down the story of the day in a notebook I labeled Cedar Ridge River Days, in big print, so anyone could add to it later. I wrote it simple so no one had to work to find the meaning. Small thing 2. I pinned a little silver wings to the curtain where the morning light catches. It made the room feel like a promise had weight and shine. Small thing 3. I put the kettle on and set 4 mugs on the counter. 1 for me, 1 for June, 1 for my sister who was gone, but not gone, and 1 for whoever walked through the door. Next and needed to hear, you're good to go. And the big thing, I sat down and wrote 2 letters, 1 to Daniel and 1 to Lila. The same envelope each of them could open someday, when they needed to remember how we learned to hold the ladder and not climb each other's rungs. Dear son, we worked today. We did not win or lose. We learned the shape of the work. I watched you let go when you wanted to hold tight. That is not small. That is the kind of strong that makes a family stay a family. I will fail at this some days. You will too. But I think we are brave enough to try. Put your father's letter where you will trip over it when fear is loud. Call me when the thunder comes. I will count between the lightning and the sound with you like we did before. I love you. Mom, dear Lila. Today you listen to a river. Someday, people will ask you to talk louder. You can. But remember that listening is a kind of talking too. It tells the world it is heard. It makes the world kinder. The land we kept today is not really ours. It belongs to the hush-hush and to the long breath after a long day. If you are the one who listens most when it is time, it will be yours to guard. If you are not, you will help the one who is. Push your fear into a chair when it starts bossing you. Let truth stand up. Eat a sandwich. Don't overwork the dough. I love you. Grandma sealed the letters and put them in a tin that used to hold tea cookies with sugar on top. I wrote on the lid with a black marker, for when it's time. The next morning, the conservation woman, Dolores, came. She had hiking boots and a clipboard, yes, but the clipboard had leaves stuck to the back and mud on the edge, like it had been to a real place. She walked the land with us. She touched the bark of the leaning fence with respect. She listened to the river like it was speaking to her personally. This is not much, she said, but it is everything too. We can do this. We can make it a small easement with a public promise and a private third. It will not make money. It will make sense. She gave us forms. She did not rush us. I like people who do not rush when a thing is big. On her way out, she looked at me. You fly? She asked, smiling. I do, I said. People tell me not to. You're good to go, she said. The world loves this sentence. Or maybe I do. At noon, we went back to the house. We ate soup June had made, where the carrots were new and sweet. We pulled more letters from the tin. We let them take their time to open. We laughed at a story Alma told in a letter of the time I fell in the river, in my Sunday shoes, and lied about a puddle. And Mother made me tell the truth with my skirt still dripping. We were halfway through a letter when another knock came. It was the man from Shoreline again. He held his hat in his hands like he knew it was not welcome to sit on his head just now. I wanted to say I'm sorry, he said. I came too fast. I brought the wrong words. I am paid to make a thing sound good, but I forgot to listen first. I heard you today. I won't step on your dirt again. If the board wants to talk, they'll call. I'll come if asked. Otherwise, I'll take my clipboard to a street that wants it. He looked like a person who wanted to keep his job, and also like a person who might go home and tell his own mother he had learned a thing. Both can be true. We thanked him. We watched him go. We closed the door. We sat again at the table that has heard everything and held all of it like a patient friend. A week later, back at my house, we had our own meeting, just us. My son, my daughter-in-law, my granddaughter, my neighbor Lise with Chico. Because his number is on my fridge, and it felt right to have someone from next door to give this story a street to live on. We invited Fear. We pointed it to the chair with the scarf. It sat. It tried to stand up. We pointed again. It sat. We signed the power of attorney papers after Ben, the cousin, explained them in words a person would use in a kitchen instead of a courtroom. Health. Daniel 1st, June 2nd, Tessa 3rd. Finances. Me as long as I can. Daniel backup, June backup to him. It felt like putting fire extinguishers in places you can find in the dark. We went over my medicine list in big letters on the pantry door. Luis added his number under his name with a smiley face because he said that makes people call faster. We practiced the fall alert bracelet. I did not wear it, but I pressed it and it called Daniel, and he answered with, "Hello, I love you," which is the right thing to say if you ever pick up that call in your life. We wrote the open hands, agreement in thick black marker, and taped it to the wall by the phone. Not a legal paper, a family one. It said, "Open hands agreement. We tell each other plans without making cages. We let help be a ladder, not a leash. We ask, is this fear or care? And let truth answer. We keep the land by the river for breathing and beginnings. We bring sandwiches to hard days. We signed our names under it like kids. Lila drew a river. It looked like a blue ribbon that did not know how to be straight. It was perfect. Later that night, the house was quiet. The lemon clean smell was gone. It smelled like my house again. Coffee in the air. The faint soap from the kitchen sponge. The front door letting in a little cold when the wind pressed it. I walked room to room with my hand on the chair backs, the door frames, my hip brushing, the hallway like I used to sweep a baby into my arms without waking him. I thought of the day my son had looked me in the eye and said, "Stay home. You're too old to fly." The words had felt like a lock on my chest then. They had made me small and loud. Now I could hear the boy behind the man again. The boy who lost a father. The man who found a letter. The hand that had learned to open. My body is older. My back, tells me the weather better than the news does. My knee sings its own song. But this is true. I am not too old to fly. I am too alive not to fly. Flying, for me, is not always a plane. Sometimes it is standing at a microphone and saying, "Don't." Sometimes it is walking into a kitchen I love and telling a child a story she will keep. Sometimes it is pinning a pair of small silver wings into my hair and letting light find them. A month later, the board voted. The conservation easement went through. Small, yes, but real. The paper was thin and official. It said the land by the river is a place where the town and the birds and we can breathe. It put our promise into public words. The clerk with the kind eyes stamped it. She looked up at me and smiled. "You're good to go," she said one more time. And I laughed and cried and put my forehead on the cool glass of the counter for 1 second. Because sometimes joy makes your bones need something solid. We put a bench at the edge of the land. We screwed a small plate into it that said "Open Hands." We took a picture. We sent it to Daniel. He sent back a picture of his hands open, palms up, like the day he was born, and grabbed the air. Tessa sent a picture of Mary Ann sitting on the bench with Lila, both of them listening like it was their job. The day we dedicated the bench, we brought sandwiches. We cut them in squares like Alma used to for me when I had a test and a worry. June brought pie. Lise brought Chico, who wore a bandana with small airplanes on it, as if the universe had placed an order and got it right. We put the little silver wings on the bench for 1 hour while we ate and told our favorite Alma truths. Don't overwork the dough. The river is for hush-hush. If you love someone, bring something warm to their doorstep and leave before your fear starts talking. The sun went down. The river made its sound. We packed our crumbs and our papers. We left the bench where it was. Strong, simple, a place to sit and remember. A week after that, Daniel came over to fix a draft under my back door. He knelt in the hall with weather strip and a hammer and a determination that looked a lot like love doing a quiet job. He hit his thumb. He cursed under his breath the way his father did in the same tone. He looked up at me like a boy about to cry and then laughed at himself. "Mum," he said, "I am sorry that for a while I thought care was a cage." "I'm sorry," I said, "that for a while I thought your fear meant you didn't believe in me." He blew on his thumb. He stood. He looked around the kitchen with his hands on his hips. He took a breath. He let it out. "After I left that day," he said, "the day I told you to stay home, I drove around the block twice. I almost came back. I didn't. I wish I had. After you left," I said, "I bought a ticket." We both laughed. It felt like a stitch that pulls a seam together and makes a thing strong. He put on his coat. He headed to the door. He turned at the threshold like he always does. He looked at me and did not tell me to be careful. He did not tell me to stay home. He said, "Text me when you land." And we both knew it meant more than planes. It meant any time I go somewhere hard. It meant any time I say yes to something that feels like flying. He will be standing at the bottom of the ladder, hands open, looking up, ready to hold. A few nights later, I sat at my table with a blank page. I wanted to write a thing that matched the size of what my life had learned. I did not have to make it grand. I could make it simple. Simple is how things stick. I wrote this and taped it to the inside of my pantry door where the medicines list lives. After they left, I took a breath. Remembered who I promised. Chose love over fear. Packed light socks, sweater, scarf, wings. Let help in when it knocked with kind eyes. Said no to clipboards and yes to benches. Put truth in a chair and let it speak. Came home and made tea. I read it once a day like medicine. It works faster than pills sometimes. Weeks became months. We went back and forth to Cedar Ridge. We sorted Alma's things. We gave away what needed to be a blessing for someone else. We kept what held, the shape of her hands. June found an old mixing bowl with chips along the rim. She keeps her keys in it now, so she does not lose them. I like that. Keys and a bowl. Together they say home. Spring came. The river ran faster. The bench stayed. The sign came down and did not come back up. The men with clipboards forgot our road or found a different one. The board sent us a copy of the easement, and I framed it out of stubbornness. Yes, but also out of joy, and put it on the wall beside a picture of my sister laughing in the rain. I am 77. My back aches and then it does not. My thoughts are clearer sometimes than they ever were when I was young. I wake early. I drink my black coffee. I look at the little silver wings and the sun on them, and I pick up my phone and send good mornings to people I love. Sometimes I book a ticket. Sometimes I drive with my windows down and let the wind talk loud and don't shush it. Sometimes I sit on my couch and do not move for an hour and call that flying, because staying can be a flight too when you choose it. My son looks me in the eye now and says different words. He says, "Mum, what do you want?" He says, "You're good to go." He says, "Open hands." He says, "I love you," not just in the form of grab bars and bolts indoors, but in sentences that leave room for my yes and my no. He still brings soup. He still changes light bulbs. He still makes lists. I still fly. We are both right this time. My family starts stories with the truth now. We put a chair for fear and a chair for truth, and a chair for the one who listens most. Leela sits there often. When she speaks like the river. Quiet, steady, saying everything without shouting. If the day comes when the trust needs a name, I think I will know. I will listen. I will remember Alma's line. Don't overwork the dough. It makes everything tough. This is the part I want you to carry to your own kitchen, your own airport gate, your own river. When someone says, "Stay home, you're too old to fly," hear the fear in it, yes, but also hear the old love that does not know how to speak without making fences. Then do what you must. Bring your wings. Pack your socks and your sweater. And your scarf. Write your medicines in big letters so kindness can find you. Ask for help without handing over your life. Say no when the sign out front says future. Something that doesn't include your breath. Say yes to benches, to pie, to letters that took years to arrive, to men who cry when they read what their fathers wrote, to women who come from out of town with a missing button and a story that explains why their hands shake when you climb stairs. After they leave, make tea, put the kettle on, sit with your own letter, put your hand on the table to feel something that does not move. Then move. You are not too old to fly. You are too alive not to. And if you need a place to practice, there is a small bench by a river. It has a little plate that says open hands. Sit. Listen. The hush hush is waiting. The river will tell you your next line.